Yes, welcome everyone. My name is Irma Lawrence. I'm the National Program Leader for the Hispanic-Serving Institutions Education Grant Program. And we're here today to discuss the release of the FY 2023 request for applications. Next slide. As Kellyanne said, the webinar is being recorded. Please be sure we don't have to have your Microsoft off, also we already done that for you. If you can reach or you have needs for the Zoom tech support, here's a number. And again, please type your questions on the chat and we'll be happy to answer them as they come. We already have in the chat questions about the slides. The slides and the recording from this webinar will be posted to the website listed here. So, which is the NIFA website. Next slide. It's a requirement under the law that we present this non-discrimination statement to you, and I'm going to give you some time to read it. Okay. So here's your program staff, myself. More importantly, Kellyanne Jones-Jamgard. She has been working so efficiently to get things done. Kellyanne, you want to say hello again?
Sure. Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are. It's very nice to meet you all, and it's great to see names I recognize in our participant list, and welcome to all of the new participants. As Irma said, I am the program specialist for the HSIS program, so if there's anything I can do to help you throughout the application process, any questions you may have or need answered, feel free to email me, or also the RFA, I believe, also has my phone number in it, so you can call my work phone number as well if you'd like to have a chat about anything. So welcome.
And one of the things we want to make clear, next slide, is that we're here to help you answer all your questions. And today's agenda is the following. We're just gonna have a brief NIFA overview. We're gonna have an overview of the HSI program. We're gonna talk about some details of the RFA, the proposal evaluation process, and other funding opportunities that NIFA will help you or will direct you to links or web pages that they could you could find them. We are gonna try to answer all your questions, and we'll adjourn. Next slide. NIFA overview. The National Institute of Food and Agriculture is the extramural science funding agency within USDA Research, Education, and Economics mission area, which that means is most of the work we do is via grants and to which you apply. NIFA invests in and supports initiatives that ensure the long-term viability of agriculture. And NIFA also provides funding and strategic leadership for programs that ensure groundbreaking discoveries in agriculture-related sciences and technologies to reach the people who can put them into practice. So basically, we do next slide. I'm ahead of myself. Basically, what we do support is research, education, and extension. Next slide. Here are a list of some of the topics that covered. If you know of or have a topic that you understand is related to the projects you're making, and it's related to all these disciplines, and it's not listed here, go ahead and talk to us about what you intend to do. Next slide. Well, NIFA has 4 science institutes: Bioenergy, Climate and Environment, the Institute of Food Production and Sustainability, the Institute of Food Safety and Nutrition, and the Institute of Youth, Family, and Community. Here in IYFC is where the HSI Education Grants Program is housed. Next slide. One thing I want to emphasize today is we want and we need all the projects that you propose to be related to USDA strategic priorities. And here are the four of the 5 strategic priorities. And of course, the first one is addressing climate change via climate smart agriculture, forestry, and renewable energy. The second strategic priority is advancing racial justice, equity, and opportunity. The third priority is creating more and better markets for producers and consumers at home and abroad. And fourth, the fourth priority is tackling food and nutrition insecurity and food safety. So in your application, please make sure that you let us know which one or all it could be one or more priority you will be addressing. Next slide. Program overview. Everybody, we're having a little bit confused on the deadlines, but since we reposted the RFA, the deadlines have changed. And here are the submission deadlines. The regular grants is March 29, and that includes education applications and community development applications, something that is new this year. The collaboration grants are due March 30th, and the conference grants are due March 31st. One thing that I want to emphasize is that all grants are due at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're in Texas, you have to watch the clock. In California, if you're not in Eastern Standard Time, you need to make sure you do submit by 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Information that is important for you to know, because you need to put it in the application, is the program code, which is NJ, the assistant listing number, which is 10.223. And this year, we are anticipating a budget of $60 million. All these information is listed on the NIFA website, and here's the link. Next slide. So we'll wonder, what's the purpose and priorities? Well, the purpose and priorities haven't changed. We're still trying to attract and support undergraduate and graduate students from underrepresented groups and prepare them for careers related to food and agricultural and natural resources systems. We're trying to enhance the quality of post-secondary instruction in the food and ag sciences. We're also trying to provide opportunities and access to food and ag careers in the public and private sectors. And finally, we're trying to align the efforts of the HSIS and other nonprofits to support academic development and career attainment of underrepresented groups. Next slide. And we're following a simple model, and we have developed this model over the years. If you're an HSI, if you're an Hispanic-Serving Agricultural College, once USDA receive the funds, we complete the funds via this RFA, so you could have some funds to actually train the students, provide internships, create internships, so the students can complete the 2-year, 4-year, or master's and above degree. And as a result, we are gonna have outstanding graduates, which we try to place either back at USDA on the food and ag system at the state, community, or regional level. And next slide. So again, here's a list of food and ag sciences, from animal health to zoology. There's a list of the sciences we cover that we have some interest on. If you don't see that your topic here, again, please talk to us. But these are good, high demand disciplines and topics that we would like to fund. Next slide. Eligibility requirements. You need to be a higher education institution, And as is defined by Code 20 USC, United States Code 1101A A2. And you need to have a minimum of 25% undergraduate full-time Hispanic enrollment. So to be eligible as the applicant, you need to meet these requirements. If you don't meet these requirements, you could be a collaborator and reach out to one of these institutions that actually meet the requirements, and you could collaborate with them. Next slide. Application submission and award limitations. If you are an eligible institution, you could submit 2 collaboration grants, up to 2 collaboration grants, and up to 2 conference grants for this program as the lead institution. You know, so if you have in your institution more than 2 people trying to apply, please work with your Office of Research Sponsored Programs regarding your institutions and do some internal selection before you submit it. There is no limit on the number of regular applications that can be submitted as the lead institution. And also, I want to mention that you could be a sub-awardee or a collaborator in as many applications that you want or you're capable to appropriately fulfill. There's no limit on the number of regular applications that can be submitted by the lead institution. So we're not limiting the number of regular projects. However, we're limiting to 2 awards per institution. So regardless if you submit 2, 4, 10, 20 applications altogether, you can only receive 2 awards per fiscal year. And only one of them could be a collaboration award. Conference grants are excluded from award limitations. A project director might not apply for a collaboration grant as the lead PD if they have an active NIFA HSI collaboration award. So you, as a PD, you can only have 1 active collaboration award. Next slide. I know that was clear as mud, but you know, if you have a question, just ask me. Cost share or matching. No matching is required for the HSI grants, and matching resources will not be factored into the review process as evaluation criteria. Next slide. Okay, so let's talk about the project and grant types. Project types we have had in the past education and teaching project type, and those are the ones that we have used and have grant types as regular, collaboration, and conference. Next slide. All these education grants need to address some of the education need areas. It could be 1, 2, or more, or all of them. So these are curricular design, materials development, and library resources, faculty preparation and enhancement for teaching, instructional delivery systems, scientific instrumentation for teaching, student experiential learning, student recruitment and retention. Next slide. So for the HSI regular grant at the education, we're looking for regular projects that can support targeted original scientific education teaching projects. Again, eligibility, you need to be an HSI institution, and it's optional on the regular projects if you apply or partner with other HSIs or non-HSIs. The budget this year has increased to $400,000, of which $25,000 of the $400,000 may be allocated to support 1 emphasis on underwriting on 1 underrepresented student. The time frame of all the application must be 48 months. So please don't send any 36 months application, because if you are selected for funding, we are going to ask you to rebudget to 48 months. There's no limit on the number of regular applications. Again, as I said before, submitted per institution. Next slide. HSI regular bridge grant. These the bridge grants are the ones that are designated or to enhance institutional capacity to strengthen educational programs and increase competitiveness of future applications. So these are applications that don't score very high, but they're coming from an institution that that has never received funds from USDA, the USDA HSI grants program. So you will qualify for this type of grant. So you could actually, in the narrative, could alert us that, and let us know that this is the first time you apply, or that you want to be considered as a bridge grant. Again, the time frame is going to be 48 months, although the budget allowed is $200,000. Next slide. The HSI collaboration grants. What we're trying to do here is have two or more HSIs work together and form a linkage arrangement. The collaborations grant should develop competitive projects to attract new students into high priority career fields. So again, the eligibility is two or more HSIs forming a linkage arrangement or a pipeline. The whole idea is that the students could move from a 2-year program for a 4-year program into graduate school. And institutions must commit to actually recruit and graduate a minimum of 15 undergraduate students plus 10 graduate students. The undergraduate students could be at the associate or bachelor level, preferably, because the grant is 4 years, is carrying the student through the bachelor's, plus 2 graduate students that could be at the master or PhD level. The budget is $1 million. Time frame, again, is 48 months. And no more than 2 applications per lead institutions will be accepted. Next slide, here we go. We are ready to talk about the conference grants. The conference grants support scientific meetings that bring together educators. Applications requested for things that we're trying to get is applications that are requesting funds for an HSI assessment and evaluation conference, HSI conferences of all the grantees, and other conference topics that might be of special interest to you. The eligibility, any HSI is eligible. The budget is $50,000 and indirect costs are not allowed. The time frame for this application is 36 months, and no more than 2 applications should be sent per lead institution. Next slide. Okay, so here is something that is new this year, project and grant types. The project type, community development. Grant types, we only accepting regular projects for the community development. And over the years, you have all asked, oh, I wish I could use some money to work with the community, educate the community. So this year we included these project types so you could do so. And we're calling it community development type. Next slide. So what are these community development projects? Well, your ideas that you come up with to support informal education to increase food and agricultural literacy in the communities you serve, increase the understanding of science data, information, and programs, build science-based capabilities, and enable informed decision-making, develop new applications of instructional tools and curriculum to increase technical competency, projects that offer non-formal learning programs that increase accessibility, and projects that develop and increase public knowledge and citizen engagement. Next slide. Again, HSIS regular grant community development type, you can support single function community development projects that deliver science-based knowledge or informal education programs. Again, the eligibility to be an HSI, budget $400,000, again, with the opportunity to use $25,000 within those $400,000 to support one underrepresented student. Time frame must be 48 months, and there's no limit on the number of regular community development projects that each institution submits. And I want to mention that those details of this project, this type of regular application are on pages 9 and 10. So, okay, some of the details of the application will be discussed next. But let's continue right here. We were going to talk about some application details, and the first thing we want to mention is the application changes from prior years. The community development projects are new to fiscal year 2023. The regular projects maximum award amount has increased to $400,000. There's no limit now on the number of NIFA HSI awards an institution can hold active at one time over the years. And there is no specific money set aside for meat and poultry workforce projects. That was an RFA that was released a few months ago at the HSI RFA, and the whole idea was to, we were requesting applications specifically to projects that related to meat and poultry workforce development. So those are the four major changes in these RFA. Next slide. On the details, again, the RFA is available online. Application deadlines change. I know some people have asked, and they're almost ready to submit by the previous deadline, but now you have a little bit more time to fine tune your application. Again, deadline is 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, March 29 for the regular projects, education and community development, March 30th for collaboration, March 31st for conference. Again, you all need to submit your applications via grants.gov. And we anticipate this year we're going to have $60 million, which is an increase of $2 million from last year. The program code is NJ. The assistant listed number is 10.223. Next slide. Continuing here with the application details, some things have not changed much, and it's the project summary, 1 page. We need that, and we need to tell us and grab our attention in your project summary where you give us the details of who's participating, what are you doing, so on and so forth. The project narrative, it has a 25-page limit and will be strictly enforced. Double space applications for all that narrative, 12-point times New Roman font, includes text, figures and tables, and the tables may be single space. I think we got that question asked, could we have single space on tables and figures? And I think we have over 20 people that asked that. So right now we want to let you know, yes, it's okay for the tables and the figures to be single space. The budget, it's important. You need to include a data management plan. Some of your applications last year, a large number of them did not have the data management plan, and you need to include the expected outcomes, as well as if you are a resubmission, you must include a response to the previous review, and that will be 1 page. Next slide. some people are asking, what is the data management plan? Well, we want you to provide a detailed up to 2-page business and management plans that includes expected data type, the data format that you're using, data storage and preservation, data sharing, projection, and public access, and the roles and responsibilities, your role and responsibilities with that data. Please also review this link here that gives you more detail on the data management plan. So again, please make sure you include your data management plan in your application. Next slide. Application submission. NIFA only accepts electronic submissions of applications. There's the NIFA grants application guide available online, and you have a link for the guide. And some things, sometimes we're getting much better at this as a group on making sure that we submit all the document as PDF, portable document format, including the budget and narrative justifications, basically because our system cannot read them. So if you send us a Word document, the program here will not allow us to read what you submit. GrantDov may allow other formats, but NIFA does not. So do not use any third-party PDF builders or any other software. So, you know, have your document converted to PDF and then load it up. Next slide. Duplicate applications. Here's our ruling. There should be no specific scientific, budgetary, or commitment overlap. If you send 4 applications, they have to be very different, fairly different. NIFA will not fund efforts that duplicate overlap substantially with efforts already funded or to be funded by NIFA or other organization. So no double dipping, basically. All the projects need to be creative. They need to be have some new information, new activities coming up, and the whole idea is that we move forward. What is the next step? What do you need to do next? So let's try not to submit applications that overlap too much. Again, applications may only be submitted to NIFA one time in the same funding cycle. And here's what we're going to do. Submissions of duplicate applications concurrently for review for more than one program in the same funding cycle will result in exclusion of the application. Please see the NIFA policy guide if you have any questions for more information. Next slide. Okay, yeah, I can't wait to get into the questions. I think we have some good questions in the Q&A. We'll get into those soon. But the evaluation process, basically, we get your applications with a basic review for completeness, and then we assign the proposals for 3 reviewers with expertise in the proposed topic to read them. Then they produce individual reviews, evaluating the strengths and weaknesses. Then these reviews are used to begin panel discussion with other reviewers serving on the peer review panel. And then through these discussions, peer review panelists come to consensus on the final rating and ranking of the proposals. Next slide. Evaluation criteria, the potential for advancing quality of education, significance of the problem. So what is new? What are you going to do that is different? Or what are you going to do that is going to improve the quality of education at your institution and the community? The proposed approach and cooperative linkages, the institutional capability and capacity building, the key personnel, the budget and cost effectiveness. Next slide. The timeline of these competitive programs is basically a minimum of 4 months to 7 months from the proposal due date, and 1 or 2 months for request for application, RFA release. So this is the time we give you for writing, and then the proposals are due. The peer review takes from 2 to 3 months, and then we'll start working on the proposal funding notifications, and that's when we start contacting your after this month, we start contacting you for any clarification that we might need, and then 1 or 2 months to make and finalize the awards. The earliest recommended date to start your proposed activities will be August 2023, but before September 30th, 2023. Reach out to program staff if you do not receive a confirmation of application received. And this is very important. Every now and then, we have somebody that 4 months after they submitted the application, they said, well, I haven't heard anything about the application. Where is it? One of the things that happens is you're gonna immediately after you submit the application, you get a confirmation from grants.gov. So within a month of that, not a week, within a month of that, you will have received a NIFA confirmation, and another email saying, yes, not only the application went through grants.gov, but we have it at NIFA and we're getting it ready for panel. So if you do not receive that email within a month, contact us, and not the first week, the second one, like maybe the 4th week. So after 4 weeks of application, if you haven't received a confirmation email from NIFA, please contact us. Your application might be lost within the system. Next slide. Some additional information that we always like to share with you. Go and look and use CRIS, the CRIS system, Current Research and Information System, to find previously funded awards to get ideas. So this is a really good tool. Next slide. Upcoming events. It's always good for you to take a look regularly on the NIFA events calendar for upcoming deadlines, meetings, and webinars. And then upcoming requests for applications and the RFA release calendar. And this is very important because you could be applying for the HSI grants and you have done that in the past, or you're new to it, but do you know there are other programs available specifically for 4-year institutions that have food and ag and science programs already established? And do you know that there are programs that are specifically directed to community colleges in the agency? So the whole idea is that you should not limit yourself to applying to the HSI Education Grants Program, but look to look at the calendar and look at the ever-increasing number of programs available to you, to 2-year colleges, 4-year colleges, and institutions that provide graduate programs. So, the HSI program has $60 million, but the agency has much more than that. And the education division has over $100 million worth of grants that you could apply to, at least for some of them. Next slide. So that's why the calendar and the upcoming webinars is important. Other resources, again, the funding opportunities, we're not limited to just the HSI education grant programs. There's new programs that are out for purchasing of equipment and workforce development, and you should be applying to those. There's a good number of other programs that the agency has that you could apply to. Competitive grants program flowchart, NIFA grant resources, the policy guide, indirect costs if you have questions. Again, the indirect cost is capped at 30%, which means if your indirect cost is more than 30%, you can only ask for 30%, which also means that if your indirect cost is negotiated at 15%, you can only apply for that 15%. So again, these are other resources. And next slide. Good. And here we're getting to the end. Volunteer to be a reviewer. You can submit your information via the NIFA's peer review system, PRS, and just put your name, add your name to the list of potential reviewers. This is a great way to get an insider's view of the peer review process to improve your grant writing. The network with NIFA program staff and other research and educators to learn about the programs, and you'll be spending a couple of days, from 2 to 4 days talking and discussing programs, and it could be a good way to network with who could be your next collaborator. Next slide.